Los Angeles is Hollywood, and no matter what the gala event, the cameras always go to work, recording the legend of Tinseltown. Unlike most people who are usually lens shy, when Los Angelinos see one pointed at them, they light up and put on a show. Last week, Rams coach Chuck Knox didn't decide who his show's leading man would be until the singing of the national anthem. And then it was not James Harris, who had led the Rams for most of the season, who got the nod. Instead, Harris had to watch reserve quarterback Ron Jaworski, fondly known as the Polish Rifle, take the reins against the Cardinals. And when the cameras began to roll, so did Jaworski's team. On the first series of plays, the Rams drove 79 yards to a lead they'd never relinquish. On that series alone, number 30, Lawrence McCutcheon, picked up 51 yards. McCutcheon eventually finished the day with a playoff record 202 yards on a career-high 37 carries. But then Jaworski, who was born in Lackawanna, New York, heard those Hollywood cameras grinding, and he reacted like a longtime native to give Los Angeles a quick 7-0 lead. And then the Cardinals got to run one play before number 85, Jack Youngblood, ruined quarterback Jim Hart's day. Youngblood's 47-yard touchdown was the first of his career as a defensive end, and he finished it with an old crowd-pleasing custom. For Youngblood, the 47-yard jaunt was about 4 times as far as he normally has to go on an average play. But what sweet pain. Down 14-0, the Cardinals finally got in the game on the following kickoff when their do-everything running back Terry Metcalf, number 21, took the ball 67 yards to put St. Louis in excellent field position. But in this playoff, the Cardinals were star-crossed. On their second play from scrimmage in the game, Jack Youngblood forced number 35, Jim Otis, to fumble, and the Rams' Fred Dreyer took possession. With the score already 14-0, St. Louis had run only 2 plays, both of which ended in calamity. But the worst was yet to come. Now the Cardinals were forced to the air to try to catch up. On the first play of the second quarter, Jim Hart dropped back and fired a pass that flew straight and unerring to Los Angeles free safety Bill Simpson, who brought the ball all the way in for a 21-0 Ram lead. For all intents and purposes, this play ended the game because the prospects of the formidable Los Angeles defense blowing a 3-touchdown lead were slim at best. A repeat of the play shows that pressure from Fred Dreyer forced Hart to unload into a well-covered zone, and after that it was eat and run. Interceptions, fumbles, and the rest of the apocalypse continued to plague Hart and his teammates. Despite it all, they finally managed to put something together. Being twice snake-bitten by the Rams secondary, Hart began working flare passes to his running backs. They were at least safe and proved productive. Once in close, bruising running back Jim Otis put the Cardinals on the board. But lo and behold, kicker Jim Bakken missed the extra point. And on the first play after the kickoff, Ron Jaworski must have heard those cameras grinding again, because the Polish rifle whipped a bullet far down range to Harold Jackson. A repeat of the play makes it look easy. Jaworski barely seemed to give the ball a flick, and hasty Harold eased under it wide open and gliding. For St. Louis, the suddenness of the 66-yard streak and the 28-6 Los Angeles lead must have seemed the ringing of the death knell. But for Jackson, Jaworski, and their teammates, it must have seemed that the playoff game was virtually over and won, with only 30 minutes of easy energy expended. Now Jim Hart had to make everything bread and butter. And who better to butter than his two most reliables, Terry Metcalf and Mel Gray. On this play, Metcalf chipped in 19 yards, and then after a penalty, Gray came up with a drive-saving sideline reception. At the Ram 11, it seemed Hart was wearing his Mitchum deodorant because he had all-day protection before he fired to Mel Gray to make it 28-16. But as they had proved earlier, the Rams were jealous of their big lead, and inspired by Jack Youngblood, the defense clamped shut on Hart and the Cardinals. Strangely enough, St. Louis gained 363 yards on the day to the Rams' 440, a difference of only 77 yards. But the big difference was turnovers, and the voracious Rams kept coming up with them. Late in the fourth quarter, Bill Simpson's second theft closed the door on St. Louis. With Lawrence McCutcheon and Ron Jesse teaming up, the Rams roared in for their final score. Repeat shows that, as it had been all afternoon, the blue and gold was in the right place at the right time. Throughout the game, the Los Angeles Rams had played with verve, emotion, finesse, and brute strength. When it was over, their emotion was spent, and they stood in small cocktail party groups, letting the glamour grabbers click away on players like Jaworski and McCutcheon. While the heroes got the notoriety, the unsung heroes like the Rams' offensive line got the game ball to go along with their 35-23 victory and a berth at home in the NFC Championship against the Dallas Cowboys.